Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be building a shadow box. Now, this shadow box is for a very important item to me, and that is my first drill. I was given this drill from some guy on Craigslist. He posted it in the free section. I went and picked it up, and I didn't really have any tools at that time. I just had one of those cheap little hand tool boxes that my parents got me when I graduated high school. And so this drill meant a lot to me, and it was the start of everything that I have now. I was able to buy a house last year because of this drill, so decided it needed a shadow box. The first step for building the shadow box was cutting the plexiglass. This is the first time cutting plexiglass, and it works really well on the table saw. And then I went behind it and cut out a piece of plywood, and then for the backer to go behind the drill, I'm going to use cork, and this will go on top of the piece of plywood. And the cork also cut very well on the table saw, and it was way cheaper than felt, so that is why I went with the cork, and I think it looks good in the end. And yeah, pretty soon I'll be done cutting the cork, and I can tell you more about what I'm building. Alright, so next I had to get the drill centered on my board, and then I used my combination square to make sure that it was the right distance from each side all the way around and right in the middle. Then I traced it out. Then I took it apart. And in the process of taking it apart, I cut my finger really bad, and that's why I had to do this with one hand for a while, but I went and put a band-aid on it so that I didn't show you all the blood that was gushing out of my finger. And now I marked the holes for where I will drill through the back and then put in some longer screws just to hold the drill on. I just left out 3 of the screws and used those holes to attach the drill to the board. This drill kind of doesn't work very well. I used the heck out of it when I had it. I was putting in, lag screws into studs to mount TVs and stuff with it. So, yeah, it went through a lot of damage before I upgraded and got an impact driver and all that. Next, I used a sled, and this is the first time I have cut 45s on this sled, so it was a little sticky, I would say, and it took a little bit of pressure, but after I got all the way through all of them, it was working pretty good. And I just cut some 45s so that I could have a square box. I ended up cutting 6 panels just so that I have some extras in case I messed up or anything. That way I could pick the best ones. So, did that. And then I cut a groove in the back for that piece of plywood in the cork that holds the drill. I cut some like dados essentially, but I just didn't use a dado stack. I just did 16 passes. I went 1/16 of an inch and cut an inch of a dado, 3/4 of an inch or a 1/4 of an inch deep. And there's 6 panels, and I did 16 passes, so I don't know how much that is. I think 96. So a lot of passes, but I finally got that done. And here you're going to see how the groove sits in there. See how it overlaps a little bit. And now I'm trying to figure out how high I want the boxes to be. So just using the drill as a guide and marking it out a little bit. And in the end, I decided to cut about 1/2 of an inch off. So I marked that out here. And I cut 1/2 inch off of each of my boards. And then I pick my 4 favorite ones and I glue them up. It was pretty difficult to glue these up because I didn't really have a level surface to do it on, but I eventually got it, and I used some tape to help me out. Now I'm cutting out the pieces that'll be the frame for the front for the glass to sit in. So I ripped it on there, which was kind of sketchy, but I didn't go all the way through, so my fingers were safe. Then I cut them down, and then I had these 4 1-inch wide strips by a 1/4 inch thick, and then I decided to cut them by hand on this miter saw box that I got at a garage sale with a Japanese pole saw, and it was pretty fun to cut by hand. I don't use hand tools a lot. You know, I like power tools because I'm very impatient, but I was waiting for the glue to set, so I didn't really have anything else to do, so cut these out by hand. Boop. Alright, and then I glued the tops on, or the frame on, and you can never have too many clamps, like they say. And after the glue finally set, it was time to disassemble everything, take all the tape off, and then as you see here, I am filling in any of the gaps with super glue and using an activator to activate it. In hindsight, wasn't the best because I couldn't really sand the super glue very well. So next time maybe I will use Bondo or something, because I was just being impatient. I really wanted to get to the sanding so that I could get to the paint so that I could get this done. So ended up sanding it down. Turned out pretty good. Now I need to measure out to cut the plexiglass to the actual right size, which I didn't do the first time. And so I cut an extra cut an extra 1/2 inch off, and that made it the right size so that it would fit into my box. Boop. Alright, I cut these cork off screen, but I cut it to the same depth so that it would hold my plexiglass in place. And I thought that worked pretty good. Then I use this Loctite adhesive, and you have to let it set for 10 minutes before you attach it. And that was the first time I had used that stuff, and I think I got that at a garage sale. I do not remember buying it or ever using it before, so I must have got it at a garage sale or something. Then I put a coat of spray paint on the thing, on the box. Then I attached this using some screws. Then I tried to hand cut out some vinyl for the stickers on the front, and it was a fail. Even with the lamp or some extra light, I decided to give that up. So I just peeled the protective layer off of the plexiglass and decided to go with a marker. Took me several tries to get it to work, but I thought it turned out pretty good. And if you want to know why I put this thing on here, you're going to have to watch the short that I put out at the same time I put this out. You can check that out on all my different social medias, and I'll probably post it on my YouTube also. But here you see me cutting down the cork to size so that I can use some double-sided tape and hold it into place. This is what is holding the glass in place so that it doesn't rattle around. I didn't want to permanently attach it in case I ever needed to change something. I thought this would work pretty well, and it did. I cut the pieces down to size using my scroll saw. Then I put the back on and pre-drilled some holes and screwed it in using some 1-inch screws. And then I attached some hooks to it to hang it on the wall. And then I hung it on the wall. And when I hung it on the wall, I realized that you can't see the letters really at all because of the black paint. So I took it down and I used a whiteout little marker pad pin thing to write over it. It doesn't look great, but it does look cool. And I'm super happy with this project. I'm glad it turned out how it did. And if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!